ziemi włoskiej do Polski, zatworem złączył się z narodem, marsz, marsz dąbrowski, z ziemi włoskiej do Polski, zatworem złączył się z narodem. Proszę o zajęcie miejsca.
Ladies and gentlemen, please take your seats. Ladies and gentlemen, according to the tradition, following the tradition of our university, we usually have this inauguration celebrations in the third Sunday of October. We want to celebrate this moment. We want to sum up our actions so far and celebrate successes, but also to draw plans for the coming year. We are happy that this meeting is attended by so many honorable guests. Let me now welcome those guests and to thank for your having for having you here. So let me welcome the Patriarch of Jerusalem, Grand Prior of the Order of the Knights of the Holy Sepulchre, His Excellency Archbishop Pietro Battista Pizzaballa. Welcome. Let me once again thank for leading the Eucharist, for your teachings, and for the inauguration lecture, which is still ahead of us. I'm happy to have a representative of our President of Poland, Professor Dariusz Dudek. We are extremely happy to have here among us. I'm also happy to have Minister of Education and Science, Professor Przemysław Czarnek. We are happy to have you here in your own university. I'm also happy to welcome the representative of Palestine in Poland, Mr. Mahmoud Khalifa, and her wife. We are also privileged to have here among us Primate of Poland, Archbishop Wojciech Polak. We also welcome the Archbishop, the Metropolitan of Lublin, Archbishop Professor Stanisław Budzik. And we are thankful for your interest and commitment to the matters of our university. I'm also happy to have archbishops of the Lublin Diocese, Archbishop Bab, Professor Wróbel, Reverend Professor Stanisław Cisło. I'm also happy to have with us Orthodox Archbishop Wiśniewski with us, and Vicar of the Jerusalem for Catholics of the Hebrew language, Father Piotr Żelazko. I'm also privileged to have Member of Parliament, Polish Parliament, Sylwester Stułajew, Stanisław Gogacz, the Senator, and Deputy Minister Piotr Bromber, responsible for representing Ministry of Health. I'm welcoming now the members of the Commission Quality for Education and Academic Teaching, and represented by its two important members. I'm also happy to have among us the representative of the Academy Research, Health Research, Rehabilitation of the Disabled, the Director of National Agency and Educational Exchange, Mr. Dawid Kostecki. I'm privileged by the presence of Honorary Consulate of Britain in Poland, Jan Danilczuk, Honorary Consul of German Republic, Professor Andrzej Kidyba, Honorary Consul of Slovenia, Tomasz Kalinowski, and Honorary Consul Mr. Zbigniew Michalak. I'm also happy to have among us representatives of governments, local government, including Lech Sprawka, the Voivodeship of Lublin Voivodeship. I'm also happy to have representative of our municipal office, Mr. Mariusz Banach, Deputy Mayor, Mayor of Tomaszów Lubelski, Mr. Żukowski. Ladies and gentlemen, we also have honorable guests representing higher education institutions. I'm happy to have you here among us, and my suggestion is now to ask you for my suggestion is to give you applause for the whole list of the people I'm going to list right now. Professor Władimir Wodow from Ukraine, Maria Curie-Skłodowska University, Radosław Dobrowolski, the rector, University of Kardynał Wyszyński in Warsaw, University of John Kochanowski in Kielce, Medical University in Lublin, Papal University in Kraków, University of Natural Sciences in Lublin, Flight Academy in Dęblin, the High School for Police Forces in Szczytno. Szczytno is actually my hometown, so now you can give an applause. She is the third lady who is a general, and the only general in power now in police forces in Poland. The rector of the High School of Economy and Innovation, High School of Euro-Regional Economy in Józefów, and the Academia Ignatianum, the Theological School in Warsaw, the Papal Faculty in Wrocław, prorectors of a Kiev National University of Taras Shevchenko, University of Natural Sciences in Lublin, Polish Technical University, Christian Academy of Theology in Warsaw, Excellence Archbishop Artur Miziński, representing obviously Archdiocese of Lublin. I'm sorry to have forgotten. We also have representatives of fire brigade services and director of a neuropsychiatric hospital in Lublin. I'm happy to have here among us the representatives of broader research centers and organizations, head of the Conference of Academic Rectors in Poland, head of a Lublin-based research association, the head of Lublin branch of Polish Academy of Sciences, head of a board of Polish Academy of Sciences, the head of the main association for dentistry, the state consultant for dentistry. Welcome to our celebrations. Vice President of Association for Research at KU, head of the Dentistry Center at Kiev Medical University, representative of National Medical University, and the vice head of State School for Legal Services, and also the heads of spiritual theological seminaries from various seminaries in Poland. Here comes the moment for applause. I also welcome representatives of religious congregations and religious organizations, also legal institutions of judicature and all legal corporations. I'm happy to have representatives of voivodeship and local authorities among us, of agencies related to various aspects of management of the voivodeship, including natural environment protection, labor offices, the Office of State Control and the Supervision, City Labor Office, City Healthcare Office, Tax Office, Tax Administration, representative of the trade union Solidarność, and representatives of cultural institutions, education institutions, healthcare, NGOs, and third sector organizations, including Vice Curator of Education in Lublin, the civil and military healthcare representatives, Director for Medical Issues in the Medical Center Sanitas, Head of the Association for Friends of John Paul II Foundation, and applause for the representative for the head of the foundation, head of Civitas Christiana, a Catholic organization, head of Catholic Publishing Organization, head of Foundation for Development of Lublin Region, vice head for the hospice in Lublin, of a Good Samaritan Hospice in Lublin, and consultant for palliative medicine at the hospice, director of Polish section of a papal organization for help in church and through church, representative of the council, medical council, head of Factor Consulting, representatives of offices of Good Samaritan Hospice. We have a strong representation of the hospice and its 30 years that we have been in service to the people of the dying and terminal patients. I've been leading in the efforts in the board, and it's over 30 people engaged in these difficult efforts, problematic, difficult efforts, and it's over 100 people that are our supervision, our care right now. So you truly deserve huge applause for this constant and unremittent effort on your part. I also welcome the director of publishing house Gaudium, the director of the plastic scene at Co, the head of the musical organization, musical NGO. With satisfaction, I welcome the representatives of prison services, the regional representatives, the remand service, representatives of remand service. We have been cooperating lately, and in a week we are to open a unique center for studies for prisoners who are become to our students. I will say more about this in a second. Also welcome representatives of business world, Modern Expo, PGE Distribution Energy Company, a representative of Bank PKO SA, a representative of PKO BP, representatives of General Assembly of the Cooperative, and various foundations that support activity of our university. For instance, Fundacja Potolicka, representatives of foundation in Stalowa Wola, and head of the House of John Paul II, the head of the Research Association of CORE. I welcome all the members present at our celebrations. Thank you for your commitment. Thank you for being together. This year, our society celebrates its centenary, and up until 1989, this was the organization that was supported by the Polish Bishops' Conference that collected the money through all the parishes, and this is what made us survive through the difficult communist times. So, wholehearted welcome and huge applause to you. Many, many thanks. I then come to welcome our Patronage Partners schools. So the secondary school, third secondary school in Lublin, undergraduates of our universities. We are so happy to stay in links and your commitment and appreciation. We also appreciate that. So past rectors of our universities, former rectors, and professors, senior professors, and all the academic community of the John Paul II Catholic University of Lublin. Let me also observe those professors and members of our community who are going to be rewarded in a coming moment. And then also welcome the students of our university, particularly including the first-year students standing at the threshold of their adventure, their academic adventure. We are so happy to have you here, and we would like to welcome you with our applause. I'm proud to notice the presence of radio, television, and other media, and other accompanying members of our celebration being present here via online connection channels.
Zanim
Before I start my inaugural address, I would like to add to the welcoming notes. I'm sorry, generally, I can notice some people in our room, in our lounge, that did not mention to me. St. John Paul II said the man is the way of the church, so the same can be said about any institution of higher education, especially of a Catholic university. The way of the university is the human being with all their intellectual and existential needs. A university is to serve man and lead to the full development of personality. A graduate leaving the walls of a university should be a person not only thoroughly educated, but also internally integrated and in every respect mature in personality. He or she should be a wise person and not just having an attribute of knowledge. In the case of a Catholic university, an element of personal integrity accentuated in a special way here is the spiritual dimension. A graduate of the Catholic University of Lublin should be a man of deep Christian spirituality, able to justify his faith and find himself creatively in a community of the Church and the nation, oriented towards rational service in the spirit of Christian love and solidarity. So at the beginning of the new academic year, I would like all the lecturers and students of our alma mater to focus on the spiritual aspect of education, because it distinguishes from so many other universities. And this is extremely important in the present situation of various difficulties we experience, consequence of the epidemics, the ongoing war, that require the display of mature human Christian attitudes. The best preparation for forming such behaviors is solid intellectual work in synergy with a deep experience of faith. And this is the main purpose of our university, of our Catholic university, and it does not only touch upon the faculty of theology, but all faculties covering the humanities in the broadest possible sense. Our university work in the new academic year will run under the patronage of a very special figure, the servant of God, Father Franciszek Blachnicki, founder of the Light Life movement and a lecturer of the Catholic University in the years 1964-1976. The centenary of his birth was last year, so we will be referring on various occasions to his life and teaching, which are a testimony of service to man in the Church, aimed at the full personal development of the young Christian. As we usher in the new year of our academic year, work and study, I would like to recall some of Father Blachnicki's thoughts that can be a source of inspiration in our intellectual and educational efforts in the spirit of Christian faith. Firstly, Father Blachnicki points out that the guiding principle of personal and social life should be the desire to bear witness to the truth, regardless of the consequences, and to be guided by the imperatives of one conscience. For academics, who are supposed to be first and foremost lovers of the truth, this indication is particularly valid. At a Catholic university, we are convinced that absolute truth exists and that it's possible to reach it and to shape one's life according to its requirements. As Father Blachnicki emphasizes, this aspiration leads to the real liberation of each person and of the whole nation from all its enslavements or subjugations, which always have their ultimate source in the travesty of truth, or even its rejection in the name of various ideologies, whether it's materialism or nihilism. Our university, in its more than 100 years history, has repeatedly been described as a refuge of truth that guarantees freedom. We wish it to remain so, and to continue to draw this freedom with renewed dynamism from the source of the ultimate truth, and not from any ideological illusions. The most eloquent example of leading people to freedom in the unique full-time bachelor's and master's courses for people lawfully deprived of their liberty, so that they can regain it as fully as possible. Graduation diplomas have been already awarded to 29 prisoners, and the coming academic year, almost 50 student prisoners will study in the dedicated study center at the remand prison in Lublin, and the center is to officially open on October 24th, and I would like to thank the present service for this very good cooperation. Secondly, academic work at a university is a kind of ennoblement. It's associated with social advancement, gaining autonomy and authority, often at an international dimension. This is evidenced, for example, by the very high results of the evaluation of scientific disciplines, placing our university among the leaders in Polish higher education. Two new disciplines have joined the ranks of the traditionally excellent ones, biotechnology, along with political science and international relations. So we are very close to meeting the criteria for being a research university. At this point, I would like to thank the entire academic community for their enormous contribution to the scientific and research excellence. We often use the term career when referring to university work and produces such results. However, seeing a scientist's way of life only through the prism of a career can be marked by hubris and lead to self-indulgence or a belief in one's own uniqueness. Father Blachnicki warned against such an ethic, and he wrote, "The greatest obstacle to our relationship with God is our feeling of self-sufficiency. This is an attitude of modern man who, intoxicated by the achievements of medicine technology, seems to have no need of God. Man solves all problems themselves, even hopes to solve the problem of death." The word career in our university reality should therefore be, in my opinion, replaced by the word humility. It means that the source of our achievements are the gifts of God, with which we have been generously endowed and which we are to use according to His will. There is a particular world university ranking in which we are at the top. It's about the academics, students, and graduates of our university, counted among the saints and the blessed of the Church. This includes 10 elevated to the glory of the altar, 9 processes of beatification which are in progress, and there is a reputation of sainthood with regard to 23 persons. In the past academic year, with the consent of the Polish Bishops' Conference, the Diocese of Rzeszów began the process of beatification of Jacek Krawczyk, a 25-year-old graduate of our university who died in 1991. In this context, the results of our university work are not only the theoretical search and pursuit of truth or the acquisition or transmission of knowledge. The main goal should be the formation of a mature person by the power of the truth, discovered and revealed to them, which ultimately has its source in God, the Creator. According to Father Blachnicki, the measure of this maturity is the ability to walk in everyday life on the path of selfless service, that is, on the path of love. Such an impact of a Catholic university will become possible when all of us, professors and students, care for the growth of our Christian spirituality, rooted in the Word of God and in the experience of the holiness of the Church. Father Blachnicki spoke of several important elements of this spiritual process. These are prayer, a never-deepening union with Christ, and finally, coming to a sense of responsibility for our brothers and sisters, not only in our nation, but in the whole universal church and even in the whole human family, which will also be a part of discussion, part of the lecture in coming soon. The maturing of such an attitude is necessarily, especially in the recent time of a worldwide pandemic and the war, tragic in its consequences, taking place in the immediate vicinity of our homeland in Ukraine. The graduates who leave the walls of our university must be ready to face the challenges arising from this situation and respond courageously to them in a spirit of Christian love and creative freedom. At the threshold of the new academic year, I would like to highlight 2 initiatives that have already been launched and will be developed in the coming years. They are part of the aforementioned idea of care for the integral education of person. So on the one hand, we take care of the spiritual development of our staff and students and graduates by encouraging constant adoration prayer, intentions of our university and our homeland. On the other hand, we focus on the bodily sphere, which cannot be neglected. And we are preparing to open a medical faculty in the existing Faculty of Medicine in the next academic year, with nursing, midwifery, biotechnology, and dietetics already in operation. At this point, I sincerely thank the Ministry of Health and Education for their support of initiatives to shape human resources and increase the availability of medical services in our country. Many, many thanks to Mr. Ministers, and please make sure we will pay back, we will compensate, we will pay back for your trust in us. More than 3,000 new students is starting the new academic year at the Catholic University of Lublin. Our university is creating a space for their development, as well as for doctoral students, professors and employees. We are open to seeing your projects realized. We collaborate with numerous institutions and universities in Poland and abroad. We undertake new initiatives, including the the Abraham Joshua Heschel Center for Catholic Jewish Relations, which we are to inaugurate, which is to be inaugurated tomorrow. We are also open to the educational needs of the Polish diaspora, for whom we have created a cool study center, because Catholicism is modernity understood in the spirit of traditional values, and hence, in the service of God and nation, we make use of the new technologies, means of communication, and the media. To conclude, I would like to dedicate to all the staff and students of our university I would like to dedicate some thoughts of Father Blachnicki as a kind of motto for our stage one in this new academic year. Man becomes fully man when they possess themselves in giving of themselves. Progress and progress insofar it perfects human being. So the highest value who is the highest value, who is always the center of the value system. The future of a nation depends on the presence of Christians. So I would like to extend my best wishes to all the members of our community. May the Catholic University be a place for the pursuit of full human maturity in its intellectual and spiritual dimensions. May its path always be that of a man who finds themselves and fulfills themselves in Christ and in the Church. May Christ be the truth that saves man, but is also the creative Logos who guides us in our search for the truth about the world and about the man in all areas of activity. May we be all guided on this path of development, leading not only to the acquisition of knowledge, but also fullness of wisdom. Let us be all led by Professor Blachnicki, an internally integrated person who knew how to combine reason and faith in his life and academic year. I hereby declare the new academic year at the John Paul II Catholic University of Lublin open. Quod bonus felix Faustum fortunantum quesit. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to ask advisor at the President of Poland to read a dedication letter, dedication address from President of Poland to the participants of our celebrations. President of Poland, Andrzej Duda. Warsaw, as of 16th of October 2022. Addressed at His Magnificence, Rector of the Catholic University of Lublin, Professor Mieczysław Kalinowski, and representatives, members of the celebrations of the inauguration of the academic year. Excellencies, Senate, ladies and gentlemen, professors, all honorable guests, dear students. On using this occasion of your inauguration celebrities, let me pass the welcoming note to the whole community of the John Paul II Catholic University of Lublin. Your university, the oldest in Lublin, and among the oldest universities in our country, can boast 100 year of tradition accompanying the renewed Polish state being reborn in 1918. Following its motto of Deo et Patria, KOO is known for following the pathway of developing the Christian civilization, building a model for research, a harmony in spiritual values, and formating the Catholic intelligentsia for years in service to the nation. Remember that the time of communist regime witnessed the birth of free thought at KOO. The educational map of New Poland after 1989, KOO occupies an important position, contributing highly to the spiritual research and social and cultural life of Poland. These inauguration celebrations always show how science is vital and relevant in the modern world, how it influences economy and social processes, satisfying human demands and building resilience of nations. The problematic experiences of a pandemic and a war, this serious war of full-scale aggression in Europe, makes us aware, puts all these dangers directly in front of our minds. Poland needs modern science to allow it to face growing challenges and use opportunities. The attack of Imperial Russia throws a shadow on all aspects of public life in Europe and in Poland. Poland opened to Ukrainian refugees, among them are researchers and students. And coming to Poland, they are allowed to continue their research and studies. Wishing the Ukrainians the immediate success in the war, we still need to remember that cooperation among our countries after the war should be a core base for new thinking about cooperation about our countries, because it's not only for the development of research in particular domains of knowledge or particular studies and courses, but also to help us understand one another as nations and as communities. There is good reason to believe that the academic year 22-23 will be free from remote mode of work because of the pandemic. And this is something that I can wish to you very, very directly. Previous years, has evidenced to us how important it is for students and teachers to meet in situ, despite the fact that all technology cannot be substitute for meetings, seminars, conferences, and classes where information is passed from person to person, where questions can be asked, and coming to some conclusions together in a live dialogue. Live dialogue is the base of university, is a foundation of university, as a foundation of academic community. It must be able to combine, to find synergy between all its members, all its stakeholders, from the youngest members who start their intellectual and life pathway. This kind of universitas is a huge value, and its lasting and long-term lasting depends on how committed are those stakeholders. Polish academic institutions started their new existence in 2017-18. I'm sure I will keep supporting and I will listening to your opinions depending on these regulations. I would be happy to have discussion on those years that we have on difficult, thorny issues, to work on them and to make our legal regulations better. So let me wish you that the coming year becomes a year in which we are ready to face the challenges, being aware of the problems we have. On my side, I promise to be committed to helping you solving these problems. And I hope that when we are together in facing those challenges, we will be working out to the benefit of us and bringing better solutions to the benefit of our whole academic community. So let me wish you that this new coming year, it will be a source of satisfaction for researchers and for students of great intellectual adventures. Let me wish all of you many fruitful discoveries and inspiration. Gaudeamus igitur, vivat Academia, vivat professores. With respect, President Andrzej Duda.
Bardzo dziękuję.
Many thanks to Mr. Advisor, and please stay here with us. Ladies and gentlemen, we proceed to the ceremony of granting the highest state rewards for the development of Poland, and the ceremony is led by the Prorector for Mission and Administration, Father Professor Mirosław Sitasz. Ladies and gentlemen, honorable guests, I'm honored to inform that Mr. President of Poland, Andrzej Duda, gave rewards, state rewards, to the renowned professors, renowned employees of the Catholic University of Lublin. So, in the name of the President, those rewards are going to be bestowed on the acknowledged workers by Andrzej Dudek, and I would like to ask Mr. Minister of Education to accompany Mr. Advisor. Please all rise. Ladies and gentlemen, on the basis pursuant to applicable laws of Poland, on the decree of the President of Poland, on the initiative of the institutions applying for these rewards, to reward the development in the research on families, on pastoral work, the Officer Cross is rewarded to His Magnificence Mirosław Kalinowski, Rector of the Catholic University of Lublin.
Szanowni Państwo,
pursuant to the previously mentioned legal regulations, further awards come to acknowledgement of research and teaching and the propagation of Polish science all over the world. The reward, state reward, comes to Marian Surdacki, Professor Marian Surdacki. A similar rewards, similar merits go to Father Professor Henryk Witczyk.
Postanowieniami
Pursuant to the previously mentioned legal regulations for the development of research, rewards come to the Golden Cross of Merit, Father Professor Fell and Iwona Niewiadomska, professor at Catholic University of Lublin.
brązowym krzyżem
A Bronze Cross of Merit is rewarded to Dr. Krupa, to Father Soczewski, professor at the Catholic University of Lublin.
Szanowni Państwo,
Let me also inform you that particular special merits for education and research, the Medal of Education, the Ministry of Education, is rewarded to Professor Jerzy Pałucki, and the handing of the medal is going to be led by Minister Czarnek.
Szanowni Państwo,
Ladies and gentlemen, the reward granting celebration is over, so please take your seats. Ladies and gentlemen, many thanks for for taking part in this part of our celebrations, and I would like to take the floor for Mr. Minister Przemysław Czarnek to take the floor and give his address to us. Excellencies, honorable guests, archbishops, and Father Patriarch, Excellencies, Grand Chancellor, Metropolitan of Lublin, Your Magnificence, Rector, Highest Senate of the John Paul II Catholic University of Lublin, ladies and gentlemen, professors, members of the community, and honorable guests of our celebrations today. Dear students, we are entering the new academic year, and we are full of hopes, but we are fully aware that we have a difficult year ahead of us. Things going on in Ukraine, and which is a consequence of what has been going on since the February 2022. We are facing the challenges, we are responding to the challenges, and we will be doing that during the coming year. But the hope that we have is, we draw this hope from those sources mentioned by the successes of the Catholic University, of which I'm extremely proud. First of all, let me congratulate on all of those of you researchers. I congratulate on excellent research results that translated onto a state evaluation. They were suggested by the Commission and supported by the Ministry of Education. This is evidence, this is a proof that intellectually and morally KU is on the growing trajectory. And this is what you should be congratulated on, because you can see that all our notes, A, B+, are a testimony to the high standard. At the Catholic University of Lublin, we have disciplines which are leading in Poland. This is why the decisions, and this was the source for the ministerial decisions. Those of you who may not be aware of the fact that this week, let me tell you that this week, after many months of consultations, I've signed a regulation to set new disciplines and new branches of science. Two of them are particularly important for two disciplines. One discipline is biblical studies within theology, not outside of theology. And the second is the discipline and branch of knowledge is science of family research or family studies. Both are extremely important in the Polish context. As far as biblical studies, we have wonderful researchers and experts in Poland. And setting this special dedicated discipline within theological branch, which has been subject to many consultations, is to support Polish biblical studies and to allow a creation of Polish research study like the one in Jerusalem or in Switzerland or in the US. We do have people, we do have experts, and a lot of these people are here at KU. And all who had certain problems, who had certain question marks about that, I would like to respond with the words from John Paul II. Don't be afraid. And the second domain, research, family studies. For a number of years in Poland and in Europe, in the Western Europe, actually for decades now, we have been witnessing a strong struggle against family, and we can also see family crises, which is the result of the former phenomenon. This is why having a separate discipline and a domain of research to talk about families in a scientific way, in a true way, because we need to look for the truth, we search the truth about family and show it to the society, because without it, all our developmental trajectories go nowhere. Without family, there will be no us. We will be not there on the surface of the earth. This is why it's so vital. And again, the Catholic University was a pioneer because it has a pioneer institute of family research headed at the beginning of then younger Mirosław Kalinowski. So that shows a huge potential for this domain of research and this discipline of research to develop. And this is why this ministerial decision. Let me also explain, because that was also a point of interest to many of you, that the even previous rector Antoni Dębiński, because of the centenary of the third oldest Polish university, then started for additional financing to finance the celebrations and to finance the centenary. And some years ago, President Andrzej Duda pronounced that this additional granting was that the additional financing was granted. And in a moment, that this building that we are now in will be subject to huge modernization because allocation from our ministry will come finally. After those years, you had to wait for that. And I'm happy to have new research directions and new studies in new domains of knowledge, like medicine, medical studies. I'm so happy that your long-term effort, positively assessed by the Ministry of Health and Polish Accreditation, Polish Quality Commission, was accepted. We realize that this requires a lot of effort, so many thanks to Minister of Health, Minister Niedzielski, Minister Bromber, for your decisions late last year, because on the initiative of Minister Skuza, we decided to launch for KU, for Catholic University in Warsaw, to launch a medical studies research branch to build simulation medical centers, because medical research cannot be a problem to other research disciplines and directions held at core. So this is why we need additional funding, and this is why I would like to thank for these additional sources of budgeting. Why this decision? Because we know we have financial funds for simulation centers, also for non-medical universities. They are planned in a national plan for development, but we are waiting for European Commission to change their opinion and finally allocate the funds we are promised. So we need to wait for the decision, and before it happens, we try to finance this by state funding. Ladies and gentlemen, I wish you all the very best for the coming year, which is going to be difficult, but I'm sure it will be source of many of your successes. So I wish all the very best to students in your search for knowledge, in your discoveries, in all the domains you are going to invest to be committed to at the Catholic University of Lublin. All the best to you. God bless you.
Panie ministrze, bardzo
Mr. Minister, many thanks for your effective support for our university and our ambitious plans that we have and we wish to pursue. And now I would like to ask Deputy Minister Piotr Bromba, representing the Ministry of Health.
Jego Magnificencjo.
Honorable guests, His Magnificence, Mr. Ministers, honorable guests, excellencies, students, dear students, members of the community at core. The medical perspective is a short-term perspective for us now, but it's a long-term perspective when we look to the future. Mr. Minister Andrzej Niedzielski, in his lecture that he delivered inaugurating the medical academic year at the medical university here in Poland, he outlined the priorities for how we see life protection and life healthcare in the short and long-term perspective. Healthcare and health protection means a lot of financial spending, infrastructure, equipment, technology, services. And healthcare today means also investing into human capital, human competences, skill pool, developing competences, developing academic disciplines in that. They are vital issues. They are a vital part of our assets. But that also means changing in the way healthcare, health services, and health processes are managed. So we need to change the perspective of quality as a way of perceiving perception from the perspective of a patient, so the patient-centered approach. So thinking about medicine, thinking about healthcare in a educational university service is valuable, is a value of its own, because it makes it more possible to have a more better informed thinking about healthcare, about relations, communication in medical processes. It also shows how presence, human presence, being together with the patient is vital. And something that I has mentioned, it makes medicine needs reflection, medicine needs a perspective that shows a better chances for understanding broader reality than just medical treatment. The reality around us becomes more and more complex, so a more nuanced approach is required of everyone. And universities must be something more than just schools. They must be platforms for developing behaviors, attitudes, because they provide tools for all of us to better understand, better comprehend the complications that we live in. We support initiatives, we support projects that stress commitment, determination of people, and developing medical sciences at core is one of those projects. His Magnificence, dear friends, for your commitment, for your determination, let me thank on my behalf and also on the behalf of Mr. Minister, and let me confirm it by what Mr. Minister foresaid, the confirmation that you are granted, that the Catholic University of Lublin is granted financial funds for developing the medical faculty. Thank you.
Moglibyśmy powiedzieć,
We could say we would like to have you more frequently here with us. Thank you very much for these addresses, and I would like Mr. Voivod Lech Sprawka to read the letter on behalf of the Prime Minister of Poland, Mateusz Morawiecki.
Mateusz
Mateusz Morawiecki, the head of the Prime Minister of Poland. Honorable guests, opening or inaugurating the new academic year is always a special celebration. It's a time when the community of the university, hoping for the fruitful future, starts the new chapter in the life of researchers, but also in new students. It's the new stage in the history of our your whole community. In this very day, I would like to wish you wish you all the best, to confirm my remembrance and my respect. With all the projects that you are opening right now, all universities in Lublin or universities in Poland also open new chances and new vistas. New institution also begins, the Copernicus Academy. It will follow the program that will cover stipends and scholarships, Copernicus scholarships and rewards, and support a new public academy, main school of Copernicus. I believe that academia will become a huge support to many research initiatives at Polish and international universities where Poles work. It will also improve the presence of Polish science in the world. This year, the ministry also launches the program of integrating Polish humanity studies with international humanity studies. Another initiative for students, for innovative students, which is to help them to implement innovative projects and will allow a better transfer of technological solutions developed by students to the economic reality. Academic communities are vital for national communities. Students become experts, students become members of business communities, of economic communities. For that to be possible, their talent, energy, and commitment must meet with the knowledge of the experts. The quality and continuity of the work and its effects lay foundations for our nation. This is why I want to wish the whole community of the Catholic University that the coming year, academic year, be free of three of obstacles and will allow you the pathway to even the most ambitious aspirations and research projects. I hope you will also find joy and satisfaction from the results and successes. With all deepest respect, Mateusz Morawiecki, Prime Minister of Poland.
Panie Wojewodo,
Mr. Voivod, many thanks for this address. Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the community, let me thank for all the congratulation letters. They will be placed, they will be available on our online website. Ladies and gentlemen, in our latest parametrization or assessment period, 91 researchers at core were granted positive plus reward. And during celebrations, we present these outstanding researchers. So today, we would also like to present another group of excellent researchers. They will be handed by His Magnificence the congratulation letters. The ceremony is to be held by Sister Professor Beata Zarzycka, Vice Rector for Research. I would like to ask those people whose names I'm just reading to come here to the podium. I'm sorry, I'm not going to read all these titles.
Reprezentująca dyscyplinę ekonomia i finanse. Zainteresowania naukowe ukierunkowuje na ekonomiczne problemy ze sfery agrobiznesu. Pan profesor
Professor Jan Głos, working at the Faculty of Philosophy, the Chair of Ethics, representing philosophy. He's an outstanding expert in ethics and social philosophy, history of philosophy in the Anglo-Saxon world. Professor Maciej Munich, working at the Faculty of Humanities, History, Ancient, Byzantine, and Medieval History. Researches Antiquity. Madam Professor Maria Bloch-Trojnar, working at the Faculty of Humanities at the Institute of Linguistics, dealing with theoretical linguistics and contrastive language studies. She researches language morphology and the structure of lexical structure and its interaction with the remaining structural grammatical modules. Professor Magdalena Marzec-Jóźwicka, affiliated at the Humanities, the Institute of Literature Studies, dealing with Polish language education, combining pedagogical, psychological, and historical issues. Professor Wojciech Gizicki, affiliated at the Faculty of Social Sciences, Sociology, researches security, national security, European integration, and Visegrad Group cooperation. Father Professor Piotr Wiśniewski, affiliated at the Humanities Institute of Arts, dealing with Gregorian and post-Gregorian liturgical monody in Professor Filip Ciepły, affiliated at Institute of Law, researches penal law and criminal policies, including theory of penal responsibility, penal accountability. Professor Monika Adamczyk, affiliated at Sociological Studies, researching sociology of old age, social gerontology, social problems, disabilities, and social capital. Father Professor Jerzy Gocko, affiliated at the Faculty of Theology in Moral and Social Theology, researches broadly understood issues in social issues and the social teaching of the Church. Father Professor Przemysław Kantyka, affiliated at Theology in the Chair of Protestant Theology, dealing with ecumenic dialogues and research of ecumenic organizations. Father Professor Marcin Kowalski, affiliated at the Department of Faculty of Theology and Biblical Studies, dealing mostly in New Testament literature and St. Paul's letters. He uses social rhetorical method against the background of Greek culture. Dr. Urszula Ciszewska-Psujek, teaching assistant working at the School of Polish Culture and Language, and she researches acquisition of Polish and the problems on the way to that acquisition. Ms. Klaudia Martynowska, affiliated as Faculty of Social Studies, Pedagogics, dealing with pedagogical resources of a human being as resources for personal and professional self-realization. Professor Magdalena Szubielska, affiliated at Faculty of Social Studies, Psychology, dealing with cognitive psychology and interdisciplinary processes. Mostly, she works in the empirical aesthetics of the people with visual disabilities. Professor Iwona Niewiadomska, affiliated at Social Studies, Institute of Psychology, researches theory of behavior, Hopf's behavior model, Hopf resource model, and the optimal selection model. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, we are proceeding to the Immatriculation Ceremony led by the Prorector for Student Issues, Professor Beata Piskorska. I would like to ask the students whose names I'm going to read right now to stand here in front of on the cathedral.
Wydziału Teologii. Pan Piotr Litwiniuk, student prawa z Wydziału Prawa, Prawa Kanonicznego i Administracji. Pani Zuzanna Konys, studentka filozofii z Wydziału Filozofii. Pani Olga Libidiewa, studentka lingwistyki stosowanej z Wydziału Nauk Humanistycznych. Pani Patrycja Majk, studentka dziennikarstwa z Wydziału Nauk Społecznych. Pan Bartosz Celiński, student informatyki z Wydziału Nauk Przyrodniczych i Technicznych. Pani Mila Abajewa, studentka pielęgniarstwa z Wydziału Medycznego. Pan Mikołaj Markocki, student dietetyki z filii KUL w Stalowej Woli. Uprzejmie proszę Państwa o powstanie.
Please all rise now for the Immatriculation Ceremony. Dear students, please make your vow. As a students of the Catholic University of Lublin, I will be committed to my duties to prepare for the good work for my native land and for the Church, following the rules of Christian morality, principles of Christian morality. I will protect the dignity of the student and care for the good name of the university. and will follow all the regulations issued by the authorities. To this help me God. Thank you very much. And His Magnificence, Mr. Rector, Father Rector, please complete the ceremony, the pass of the ceremony.
Szanowni Państwo,
Ladies and gentlemen, particularly to these new students of our university, I congratulate you and wish you a very fruitful pursuit of knowledge and developing of character and personality. Ladies and gentlemen, to round up the part of this ceremony, I would like to ask the representative of student authorities, self-government, Paweł Zdybel, to make an address. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Ministers, Excellencies, Eminences, dear rectors, ladies and gentlemen, dear colleagues, we are beginning yet another academic year in the history of our university. Inaugurating it is for us all a very important moment, and this is supported and this is evidenced by the presence of so many honorable guests. I'm also happy to be here to utter this address for yet another time, to say thank you, to say good morning, and to say hello, to say welcome to all students and professors who start their work here. I start with mentioning the professors, 3,100 students at 2 stages, at 2 cycles. This means 3,000 new ideas, passions, concepts that may be pursued, that may be followed at our university. And let me give you this promise that you will have great opportunities to do it. This university uses its infrastructure and all kind of support. And I can use my own example. I've witnessed that many times. You can be sure to find a helping hand from all kind of sources and from all kind of people. As self-government, we are also of service to you. Feel free to come, feel free to contact. All kind of employees, all people here in our community will always be of help. Our university is a special place, and this fact is also highlighted by the presence, by the fact that it's related to the two most prominent poles. You can see the pictures, and we are in the lounge, which is under the patronage John Paul II and Cardinal Wyszyński. Their legacy is still living, and we follow it in the spirit of the word patria, which is a motto of our university. All members of our community supported and educate new generations that are going to be the future of our nation. At the John Paul II Catholic University of Lublin, at its very early stage of development, a very early stage of studies, the university makes you ready to perform in different social functions. And that is evidenced by the fact that our graduates very often perform later on in important social, economic, and political functions. And this is why I would like to say thank you to all academic teachers, because it is you who create the environment in a very direct sense, in direct contact in each class, where you pass your values that make part of the university motto. I also want to thank all the support personnel, because they help us function. They care for all technological and organizational processes, from the simplest to the most complex things that a student needs to go through. Beginning this new year, you cannot omit the history of the university that spans for over 100 years. It's a source of our new rediscovery, reopening, seeing it once again and pass it on new students. And it's a wonderful situation today which I can use to thank the authorities of our university, including His Eminence Professor Kalinowski and Professor Rector Beata Piskorska, for very good cooperation in previous years, hoping that it will be continued and will be developed, which I wish to students in all Poland to be proud of so good a kind of cooperation as we have. I think nobody is going to be taken by surprise that I'm going to use John Paul II's words, that man is not big because of what he has, but because of what he is and what he shares with others. So at the threshold of this new academic year, let me wish you that the coming year be fruitful and satisfying from who we are and from what we share with others. Ladies and gentlemen, please remember to share with everyone our knowledge, experience, and openness and help. Referring to what Mr. Minister Czarnek said, it's going to be tough year, difficult year, but cooperation, rational approach to life, we will manage, we will succeed. Thank you. Many thanks for your address. As you see, we have the followers. The followers are ready to take our... Okay, we are in front of Gaudeamus Mater Polonia, so please rise up.
Proszę o
Please take your seat again. Ladies and gentlemen, the inauguration lecture will be delivered in a moment. Patriarch of Jerusalem, Grand Prior of the Order of the Knights of the Holy Sepulchre, Archbishop Pier Battista Pizzaballa. Please, Excellence, come here to the speaking stand and deliver your lecture. Thank you in advance.
Thank you. I hope you have still energies to listen. My presentation will be on two parts, but connected. I read the title to understand what I'm talking about. The pilgrimage to the earthly Jerusalem, an anticipation of the final pilgrimage to heavenly Jerusalem, and then current situation of the Christian population in Holy Land. Two parts, but connected. In order to facilitate the work of the translators, I will read it. The first part, Homo Viator. So the meaning of pilgrimage and pilgrimage to the Holy Land. Pilgrimage is a profound anthropological need of mankind that is rooted in our constant need to be in search of a place. We experience in various forms that we are existentially out of place, precarious, itinerant in this world, and thus, in other words, far from full happiness. Thirsty for the absolute, we are restless nomads, tourists of the truth, perennial itinerants towards the beyond. We never stop in front of our limits, being in continuous search for the full realization of our existence. We are by sense an Homo Viator. In this sense, pilgrimage is as old as men and springs from our natural religiosity. There have always been places considered special, almost bridges between heaven and earth. The holy place is, from the beginning, an axis mundi and leads to the numinous, where one goes in search of security to receive answers, or implore thanks to superior and celestial force. Blaise Pascal said, all the unhappiness of men comes from one thing alone, not knowing how to be quiet in a room. And if it is true, this is true, it is certain, on the other hand, that we, conscious of living in a temporary and precarious tent, are in search of our true homeland. The restlessness that pushes us toward the other, the one is not ourselves, is, after all, our existential engine. This day, the Jewish are celebrating Sukkot, the feast of the tents. On the Jewish holiday of Sukkot, every Jewish family must fulfill the precept of building a sukkah, an outdoor tent, whose roof must be made of palm trees to be able to contemplate the stars. On this occasion, a memorial is made of peoples wandering in the desert. The power of the memorial is all in the actualization. A Jew cannot forget that he is always a pilgrim on earth and must re-experience every year that primordial experience of pilgrimage in the desert. I note, parenthetically, that there are also some Bedouin Arabs, now sedentary, who like to spend a short time in tents from time to time, so as not to forget their roots. Deus Viator for Homo Viator. Divine revelation is grafted onto this natural, anthropological, and religious cast of man, renewing and transfiguring it. The philosopher Levinas masterfully identified the difference between the Greek and the Jewish mentalities in the radical difference between the wandering of Odysseus and Abraham. The first is indeed a journey into the unknown and into the other than oneself, but which in the end returns to the homeland, to the family, and to the self. It is cyclical, Odysseus. The second is totally open. Abraham leaves his homeland forever, for a land still unknown, and he forbids his servant even to bring his son back to the starting point. This is why God calls Abraham to the pilgrimage of faith with these textual words, "Go forth, Lech Lecha, from your land, from your birthplace, and from your father's home to the land that I will show you," without mentioning it. He doesn't know where to go. In the biblical tradition, going on pilgrimages means, according to the phrase that is repeated as a refrain in the Deuteronomy, to the place that the Lord shall have chosen, without mentioning it. Perhaps it is precisely for this reason that this place remains anonymous. It is not just a physical place, but a way towards the Lord. Not surprisingly, according to the Jewish tradition, the first holy place is God Himself. Since ancient times, the Temple of Jerusalem, the place of God's dwelling place in the world, was simply called Hamakom, the place, which later in rabbinic literature would be used as an expression to designate God Himself, the place par excellence. So at least Philo of Alexandria, topos, because he contains the whole without being contained by anything at all. He is the refuge of everything, and he is his own place, being contained in and developed by himself alone. On the other hand, God, while reminding us of the most daring pilgrimage possible, the perennially and dynamically open journey towards the infinite that is Himself, is far from distant. Today there is much debate, not without controversy, about whether Jesus was a migrant or not. In the tent among the wandering people in the desert, he became a pilgrim with a nomadic itinerant people, Deus viator for Homo viator. He is the first true guide of pilgrims. Already in the Old Testament, therefore, God is both the guide of the people and their destination, the true place. This will be fully accomplished in Christ, the wayfarer, and at the same time, the place par excellence, the temple made flesh. As is well known, pilgrimage is fundamental in the Jewish faith, and later on is fundamental in the Muslim faith, and was particularly so in the time of Jesus, when the temple was still standing. In the Pentateuch, in the Deuteronomy, prescribes pilgrimage to Jerusalem on the occasion of an annual feast, 3 annual feasts, Sukkot, Pesach, and Shavuot, with this word: 3 times a year, every one of your male shall be seen with the Lord, your God. Usually it's translated, shall stand before the Lord your God, at the place He shall have chosen. This phrase is actually a later interpretation by 7th, 8th century scribes, the Masoretes, who added vowels to the original consonant text without vowels. In fact, the consonant text literally reads, every one of you, of your male, shall see the face of the Lord, ir'e. The Masoretes, careful to avoid anthropomorphism, did not want the reader to misunderstand that the text actually clearly states the pilgrimage to the temple in Jerusalem is even equivalent to seeing the face of the Lord. Since ancient times, in fact, the temple was considered the center of the earth and the gate of heaven, the axis mundi, the navel of the world, as the author of the Book of Jubilees writes even before the Christian era. The Garden of Eden is the Holy of Holies and the dwelling place of the Lord. Mount Sinai is the center of the desert. Mount Zion is the center of the navel of the earth. These 3 places were created as holy places, one before the other. The Midrash Tanhuma, one of the rabbinical texts explain this tradition. Just as the navel is located at the center of a human being, so the land, the Holy Land, is located at the center of the world. The Holy Land resides at the center of the world. Jerusalem at the center of the land, of the Holy Land. The temple at the center of Jerusalem. The sanctuary at the center of the temple. The ark at the center of the sanctuary. And the foundation stone from which the whole world was founded is in front of the ark. Of course, is a reconstruction. The temple of Jerusalem is therefore considered along the lines of Jacob's dream in Genesis 28, the place par excellence. As you know, the first Judeo-Christian took up that tradition, transferring the center of the earth to Mount Golgotha. In the Arabic version of the apocryphal Cave of Treasures, Adam is commanded to be buried in the place of Christ's death and resurrection. I quote, "The place where your body will be laid is the center of the earth, from which and in which salvation will come to you and to all your children." Adam called that cave the Cave of Treasures. End of quotation. Origene also confirms this tradition in his commentary on Matthew. The body, I quote, "The body of the first man was buried in the same place where Christ was crucified, so that as all die in Adam, all may receive life in Christ." End of quotation. It is a fine interpretation. In the place where Adam descended into tomb, Christ, the new Adam, died and descended to give life to the first man. The Hebrew name for Jerusalem, Yerushalayim, Al-Quds in Jerusalem, in Arabic, is very evocative. Leaving aside its scientific etymology, it is grammatically a dual form, as if to indicate that there are two Jerusalems, one terrestrial, the other heavenly. It is no coincidence that the book of Revelation closes with a wonderful vision of Jerusalem coming down from heaven. Chapter 21-22. It is the tent of God with men, completing God's pilgrimage in the tent with the Israelites in the desert. It has 12 gates open to 4 cardinal points because it is the cosmopolitan metropolis par excellence. It is the new Eden. Here is the destination of all our pilgrimages. This explains how pilgrimages to the Holy Land, which find their roots in Judaism, developed in the church from the first centuries, not only as a devotional practice, but also and above all as a return to the source of faith, especially to the scriptures and to the historicity of revelation. And creating so a cosmopolitan Christian Jerusalem. Egeria, we are in the 4th century, in his itinerary, in his diary of his pilgrimage, informs us that at the Holy Sepulchre, in the 4th century, the liturgy and preaching was in Greek, but there was a translator in Syriac, Aramaic. Moreover, although from 451 the patriarchs of Jerusalem were Greeks, the local population was mixed. In addition to the Greeks, there were Arabs, Syro-Arameans, descendants of Nabateans, Samaritans, Moabites, etc. Due to the strong call of the holy places, many pilgrims from various ethnic groups had permanently settled in the Holy Land, and some of them became monks. On the Mount of Olives, for example, there were monks praying in Greek, Georgian, Syriac, Armenian, Latin, and Arabic. We are in the 4th and 5th centuries, so nothing's changed since then. It's exactly the same thing. Now, so what the connection with the Christians? Have we forgotten, caught up in the passionate exposition, the background outlined the Christians of the Holy Land? Never. On the contrary, we may already measure the depth in their identity of the admirable paradox in which they live and which constitutes their cross and delight. To be suspended, in a way, between the two Jerusalem, heavenly and earthly. Born where we are all born and where all our sources are, our Christians are often strangers in their own land. Raised in the Mother Church of Jerusalem, nourished and sustained by the Universal Church, they often feel on its margin. Rightly proud to be native of the holy places, they in various cases disown the practice of faith. They are Arabs, yet not Muslims. They are Palestinians, proud Palestinians, yet they are not supporters of Islamic State. They display the cross of Christ on their homes, on their chests, and often as tattoos inked on their flesh. But sometimes they put Barabbas before him. That is the pursuit of mere human justice. But who among us, at least once in our lives, have never chosen Barabbas? I have to suspend here. In the process of Jesus, before his passion, Pilate presents Barabbas and Jesus to the crowd. Barabbas is, in Aramaic, means son of man. And Jesus also is son of man. Son of the Father, sorry. And Jesus is son of man. Barabbas was a political prisoner. So Pilate presents to the crowd two kinds of messianism, the one of Barabbas and the one of Jesus. And we are always in front of this choice. Which kind of liberation are we working for? The one of Barabbas or the one of the Son of Man, of Jesus? And so it's not always easy for us to choose the Son of Man and not Barabbas. Barabbas is very easy. It's very understandable. Quite few Christians are Israelis, but not Jews. This is the case of Arab Israeli Christians. Then we have the vicar here, the Hebrew-speaking Christians, and numerous migrants, about 100,000. They complicate matters even more. To complicate matters even more, most of the faithful of Holy Land are Christians, but not Catholics. Most are Orthodox, while the majority of Catholics are not of the Latin Rite, but of Eastern Rite. Consider that in Arabic, the Greek Orthodox are called Roman Orthodox. Roman Orthodox is strange for us, or Roman Orthodox. And the Greek Catholics, Roman Catholics. We could easily continue listing the paradoxes experienced by our faithful, but let this be enough to have immense respect for their worth. They have kept their faith for centuries in the middle of a non-Christian majority. And for their wounds, they need also their wounds to be respected, to love them as brothers and sisters, correcting them if necessary, but not before having appreciated their importance. All this, moreover, makes our faithful similar to pilgrims, and after all, to all people. They too are precarious, or at any rate, feel in many cases like foreigners in their own land, not identified secret simpliciter with a Jewish state or a majority Muslim state, albeit trying to live in peace and be good citizens. In short, our faithful of the Holy Land are more than ever called to accept the reality, admirable and paradoxical at the same times, that distinguish the first Christians, according to what the letter of Dionysius reports about them. I quote, "They dwell in their own country, but as strangers. They participate in everything as citizens and endure everything as foreigners. Even foreign land is a homeland to them, and every homeland is a foreign land." End of quotation. In the text above, we rendered the Greek term strangers. The word that rendered the Greek term strangers is paroikoi. The term parish derives exactly from the Greek paroikia, which can mean both a reality close to the house and the reality that being close to it is outside the house. One of the signs of the times that we must note is precisely the fact that the parish so close to the house is in a Christian environment is now increasingly outside the house, increasingly a pilgrim in the world. We are returning, in fact, to times similar to those of Apostolic Church, where Christians were a minority in the midst of a pagan world. In it, the Church is increasingly called to be salt, light, and leaven, trying to avoid the two opposite extremes, weeping over oneself on the one hand, persisting in restoring the Christendom of the good old days on the other. The Catholic Church, in this particular context in Holy Land, is numerically small, about 1% of total population, but rich in many initiatives and institutions. There are over 100 Catholic schools, numerous centers of biblical and theological studies in all different languages, not in Polish. I say this for your shame. Shelters, houses supporting different forms of fragility, hospitals, homes for disabled, orphanages, etc. The diocesan priests, all local, are over 100. Alongside them, there are about 600 religious men and about 1,000 religious women, whose service is particularly valuable and appreciated. The Church of the Holy Land is the Church of the Holy Places, well known and a central point of reference for Christian identity of our communities and of the whole country. But the holy places cannot be separated from the ecclesial communities that live around them and from the institutions that the communities have created over time. The identity of the Christian community is not only linked to individual sites or monuments, as if these could be separated from each other or isolated from their respective communities. Yes, this identity is focused on its holy places, but also revolves around their schools, hospitals, and cultural, social, and economical activities. In short, we cannot separate places from people and from their ordinary life. Pilgrimage to the Holy Land and to Jerusalem in particular must be a return to the sources of our faith and an encounter with the humanity of Christ and the historicity of divine revelation. But it must also become an encounter with that small portion of the Church that keeps Christians' witness alive in those places. In conclusion, all local Christians, although marked by continuous conflicts and sufferings, find themselves in a privileged situation that all Christians should also experience, that of being strangers and pilgrims in this land. This obviously does not mean not fighting so that local Christians can have a homeland, a dignified and peaceful life, a just society without discrimination of any kind, which is what they are living now. Instead, it means adhering to the call that our Lord made to us, first and foremost in this Holy Land, already at that time full of conflicts, conspiracy, usurpations of lands, social and religious injustice, to be salt, light, and leaven of the world. This means that for the Christians of the Holy Land, it is more necessary than ever to return to the sources of their faith, to be faithful to the word and grace of Jesus Christ, to retrace the pilgrimage of faith. It is therefore necessary to return to the radicality of Christian life, which is never fundamentalism. Radicality means returning to the roots of our baptism and our faith, to the newness of Christ, to the heart of the gospel, which is the Sermon on the Mount, and therefore the love we should have for our enemies, to the center of our Christian identity, which is the Paschal mystery of Christ, to the divine nature that He has given us through His Spirit and makes us new creatures capable of loving beyond death. Jerusalem, finally, is a mirror of what we all are. We must not be scandalized by her wounds, her contradictions, or even her sins. The neophyte pilgrim, upon seeing the division and the sins of Jerusalem, remain troubled. All they must do is to enter the Holy Sepulchre. If you have been in the Holy Land, enter the Holy Sepulchre. If you are new, usually you are scandalized. The initiated pilgrims, on the other hand, know that the duality of Jerusalem, earthly and heavenly, is also their own. We too are like the Jerusalem below, full of chaos, contradictions, injustice, done and suffered, confusions, etc. Yet this is the concrete Jerusalem that God has chosen, as He has chosen us to transfigure us from our wounds and manifest in us the heavenly Jerusalem, so that we may become in this weak and precarious tent of ours a living temple of the Holy Spirit, the dwelling place of God among men, a bridge between heaven and earth, between the Jerusalem of down here and above, which is free and is the mother of us all. Thank you.
Your Beatitudine, I would like to express our deeply grateful that you have come to us, you have accepted our invitation to celebrate the Holy Eucharist and to have the lecture right now. And if you would like to have any request to you, just keep us in your hearts, especially when you return to Holy Land, to the places where our Lord touched the earth.
Thank you to all of you. And I came to Lublin. Now it's about time for Lublin to come to Jerusalem.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Szanowni Państwo, chciałem jeszcze poinformować.
Ladies and gentlemen, let me inform you that the academic reward was granted to two people this year. Professor Magdalena Szubelska for publishing 10 articles, including 8 in Scopus and Web of Science, and of the second level of Dr. Agnieszka Kuźniarz, Biological Sciences, for implementing the scholarship and grant with outstanding results, Leader 9 project, financed by NCBR Center for Financing, innovative, preparate for growth of agricultural plants. So the rewards are going now to be handed.
Do dyplomów były dołączone
The diplomas were accompanied by tiny little financial rewards. Excellence, Archbishop, our Grand Chancellor, Metropolitan of Lublin, I would like to ask you to address your final closing word to us, and we'll also ask the archbishops and Archbishop Primate of Poland, head of the Conference of Polish Bishops, to address his voice to us. In October 1918, the rector of our university, the first rector of our university, Idzie Radziszewski, was granted by Piłsudski a telegraphic note. With great pleasure, I made the opening of the fourth Polish university. I wish that the new focal point of national culture starts the new pathway for the development of our motherland. And I must say that this 100 years of fire burning of science and education, that we have this lovely academic centers that was an opening point for other universities in Lublin coming, and students are coming from all over places all over the world. That was the fruit of the long-sighted, almost prophetic work of I.G. Radziszewski, and this is why he is honored by his statute. We are now in January 1922, the university started its activity in the premises we are in. And then very soon after, Radziszewski dies at the age of 55. He prepared a lecture that showed his idea of a Catholic university. And his idea was to build a professional university running objective research in a harmony between faith and science. It should cover comprehensively the whole spectrum of research, including medicine, the dream that we are now fulfilling. And we have also an anniversary, a 48th anniversary. 45 years ago, John Paul II visited Lublin and his university, and he said the words which are very often repeated, because, of course, there is a reason to repeat them, because they are a motto for us. And this is what he said: "University, my alma mater, ye are covered by the love that the Christ covered you to the very end. Serve the truth. Stay in the salvatory embrace of God. If you follow the truth, you serve the goal of liberation. You serve the goal of life." This lounge is under the patronage of Cardinal Wyszyński. After the war, Wyszyński was Archbishop of Lublin and then Primate of Poland. And he was always a loyal friend of our university. In 1968, we celebrated 50 years of the university, attended by two cardinals, Wojtyła and Wyszyński, and the primate then addressed the youth. "When you reach up until the centenary of this university, please remember us. We will bless you from the heavens, from the heavenly Jerusalem." And now they look on us from these pictures, from the heavens, and they fulfill their promise. And I hope they will also be with us after the reconstruction. Beatitudine, divine beatitudine. Thank you very much that you accepted our invitation to come to Lublin for our inauguration of the academic year. Thank you very much for the celebration of the Eucharist, commemorating the death and the resurrection of Jesus Christ. Many of us hope that you bring us in your memory to the Holy Land, to the tomb of Christ. We thank you very much. We remember the words that you uttered at some stage. We also recall the words of some time ago. Thank you very much for excuse me, my Italian is not that good to follow.
Assicuri in ogni situazione difficile, come lo ha fatto a San Paolo, sufficit tibi gratia mea. Serdecznie dziękuję księdzu.
Thanks to Archbishop Primate, a friend of our university, I'm grateful to members of the parliament, government, local authorities, voivodeship and city, academia, and all honorable guests. I also welcome the young people here. Gaudeamus igitur. Let it be filled with joy through discovery of knowledge and truth.
Bardzo dziękuję księdza.
Thank you very much for these kind words, for warm word, and we would like to ask Archbishop Primate to make his address to us.
Excellencje,
Honorable guests, honorable hosts, you come to Lublin along the pathways on the pilgrimage of John Paul II and Cardinal Wyszynski. John Paul II taught that among all things, human being gets excellence through abstract exploration of truth, but community life that works on discovering the truth. Wyszynski kept repeating that you start from yourself. When you start from yourself, others will change. You will change them, even whether they want it or not. They have no. This was his last address in Gniezno, and the question is, what is it that goes about here in Poland? This is a text which absolutely is worth rereading and readdressing from time to time. So let me express my wishes for this university under the patronage of John Paul II, and the one with which, as addressed by Archbishop Metropolitan of Lublin, connected also with Wyszynski, Primate Wyszynski. So let me wish that the university grows in truth, the love of truth in community, the spirit of communal research explorations. This is what I wish to you, and this is what I'm going to pray for you. And also that while transforming ourselves, we become veritatis splendor. We become the splendor of truth to others. God bless you all.
Bardzo prosimy teraz.
We would like to ask fathers, archbishops to give our blessing to all. So please all rise for the blessing.
Pan z wami.
I z duchem Twoim,
Niech imię Pańskie będzie błogosławione.
teraz i na wieki,
Wspomożenie nasze w imieniu Pana.
który stworzył niebo i ziemię.
Niech was błogosławi Bóg Wszechmogący, Ojciec i Syn i Duch Święty.
Dziękujemy serdecznie.
Thank you very much. Let me thank all who participated in our celebrations, and let me thank also for those of you who are here and also who are here with us online. That's a huge privilege. That's a source of huge pride for us to have us here among the walls of our universities. And no worries, even if we are not able to meet here in this meeting room, meeting lounge, we will meet somewhere else. And we will obviously try to care for whatever we have here. Let me also pass thanks to the choir of Kol for the musical setup for our celebrations. Thank you very much for your wonderful performance, and also during the Holy Mass with the orchestra, with the chamber orchestra, with the musical element. Many, many thanks. Let me also ask you to take this opportunity to visit an exhibition at the Museum of Kol commemorating the 100 years of the Research Society at Kol, and the exhibition at the plastic scene of Kol. Ladies and gentlemen, to the very end, let us together sing Gaudeamus Igitur. Gaudeamus Igitur, Juvenes dum sumus. Gaudeamus Igitur, Juvenes dum sumus. Os iucundam juventutem, os molestam senectutem, nos habemit humus, nos habemit humus. Vivat
Szanowni
Ladies and gentlemen, we are closing the ceremony and we are making the academic procession. Please stay in your seats before the procession leaves, and please follow the regulations and instructions by the personnel. Thank you.